Okay, good evening, everybody. My name is Doug Fink. I host the PowerShell user group out of New York City. I'm a 12-time MVP, and tonight we have Max Trinidad, who's going to be doing a presentation on working with Docker on Windows 10. He's also a 13-time PowerShell cloud engineer, cloud data center MVP. So I guess
12.
12. Gotcha. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Remember they changed the way they do the award and everything got
there you
like
go.
roll up. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So before we kick off, I just want to point out that actually the company that Max works for, SAPIEN, they sponsor us. So I just want to, if you can you see the screen I'm sharing? These are definitely all the products that they use or they build. All of them definitely save you time, specifically for PowerShell Studio. So if you're a PowerShell person, you want to try out a 40-day or 45-day trial on the PowerShell Studio, definitely worth trying it out. So definitely encourage you to go there. I want to just bring your attention to next month. We're going to have Adam Jacobson. He's going to talk about PowerShell, data without a database. He'll talk about things like OData, REST APIs, JSON, and all that kind of stuff. So head over to the meetup page, RSVP to that so you can get the online event. And I have speakers lined up for September and October. We don't have topics yet, but keep an eye on the meetup page for details that are coming. So tonight, working with Docker containers in Windows 10, Docker is getting pretty big. Containers are important for lots of different reasons. They also make you pretty flexible. They make you agile. They make life easier. So it's worth learning some of the ins and outs. And that's what Max is going to take us through. And he works today at SAPIEN Technologies. I've known Max for a bunch of years, all through, I think we met once or twice, maybe at one of the PowerShell at the MVP summits. He's really,
I missed like 3 of them.
Yeah, exactly. And he's really great at the PowerShell scripting, and he's great at SQL Server. He's always presenting. And Max, it's really great to have you here tonight. Totally appreciate you doing this presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing and see if you can share your screen. That'd be great.
Okay, let's see how I'm going to, okay, share. That's me, right? Yay. Okay. The screen, yes. And so let's see how it goes.
That's so far. Yeah, I see you start. There we go. I can see it.
Okay.
Okay, so the floor is yours. I'll keep an eye on the chat room. And if people want to raise their hand in the chat room and ask questions, I can unmute you, or you can drop a question into the chat and then we'll pass it on to.
Yeah, no, Doug, I really appreciate you standing on the side. Normally, you know, if everybody wants to do a little more as I go, it's perfect.
Okay.
And I'm really glad that you invited me to this meeting.
Awesome.
I'm excited. Yeah, this has been a challenge because this particular topic, I've been presenting this topic for 3 years, and it has every time has changed a lot. And because technology does change, right? And that's the part we have to keep up with all these changes in technology in order to make us productive.
Exactly.
All right, so
turn it over to you. Go for it.
Thank you. So, topic of the day: working with Docker containers in Windows 10. My name is Maximo Trinidad. Currently, I'm the technology evangelist for SAPIEN Technologies Inc. And I love it right now because, I mean, this is the best way I can provide to the community, you know, the necessary tools and the way to get their skill sets to the level that they need to be, right? Think about it. In the old days, programmer used to be one single language and that's it, right? And nowadays, we have to be very diverse, right? So we need to learn about databases, how the operation goes in the room. We have to flow with the people around us, security, networking, the help desk if it's needed, customers. We need to build up the skill set necessary so we can get better paid, right? So hopefully this topic helps, because this is one thing that you're gonna have benefit, is having Windows 10 and Docker. And of course, the main topic for all this is WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. Let me see, click here. All right, thank you very much for having me. Let's say that again. Here's our agenda. I'm going to talk a little bit about me. We're going to go through quickly on some of the product of SAPIEN technologies. And of course, we're going to dive into WSL and Docker containers, and then how this all brings together for all the different technologies that have just come out. And then the main demo is all of this thing built together. We're going to talk about Docker. We're going to talk about everything that I've created in this presentation is available for you. I built a series of presentation scripts, and so you can download and go through it. It's step by step how you can work with Docker. And I didn't put it in here, but I also included a sample on Docker Compose, which, if time's allowed, is very simple, very basic, but we need to know about this because that's the next level. You go Docker command line, then you're gonna go Compose, and then what's the next one after that is Docker file. You don't have to learn all of three. You can start with the CLI, and then you can go for Docker Compose. Compose really uses what you build with at the CLI level. And I'll show you all this, okay? I've been MVP since 2009, and very happy to be part of the MVP in PowerShell. Now they call us Cloud and Data Center, and of course now you have the Azure. Everybody now on any technology and MVP expertise in one point in time will touch PowerShell. So that's a given right now. Before it was just PowerShell automation, now it is all across the board, right? I speak in all of the Florida IT community events, done the CoCamp, SQL Saturdays, IT Pro Camp. I've been with SAPIEN Technology since 2017. And if you feel to contact me, there's all my contact information there, my emails, Twitter, and my LinkedIn account. Beside covering the whole state of Florida and all the events, I have been able in the last few years to travel to Europe and Asia and speak also about our products and PowerShell, which is what's very exciting. SAPIEN products, what are we? We are a company that develop products for administrative tasks, make you productive in what you do best, okay? We got our flagship product, which is PowerShell Studio, alongside with PrimalScript, which is a multi-source, multi-code editor. And then we have the PowerShell Help, PowerShell ModuleManager. This is a great product because PowerShell ModuleManager gives you the GUI way to identify what modules need to be updated. This is very practical because most of the time you install a module and you don't know if there's an update available. With this product, you're going to be able to, and any now and then you can go and check if there's any updates available. And then you can do the updates. You can remove them, you can disable them, test the newer one, so you can manage your module properly. Then we have the SIM Explorer, which is recently been renamed from WMI. Take a look at that one because it gives you all the necessary tools for do single scripting, even GUI to automate your CMI scripting. Version recall, Primal SQL, and I really love the Primal XML because, you know, for most of the editors out there, it's hard to find a good editor that will structure your XML the way you want, right? Or either you see it all in one line, or that's really used. It's a good product to have. Each one of these main products, I included a brief description of what it does and a graphical, an animated GIF, so you can see you have a good feel of what it does. Okay, so this is great. PrimalScript, you know, support is here's an example doing the debug. All of these products support also PowerShell 7. Okay, so you're able to create even GUIs application in PowerShell 7. Think about that. Okay, you can create in PowerShell 5 and PowerShell 7. Here's an example of the module manager. is an example of the same thing I was talking about, that you can create, I can automatically create for you a GUI application from whatever you select on your SIM Explorer. Okay, this is very, very practical. And of course, we have some free tools you want to take advantage of. You have a very basic editor you can download and use. So you have a help, PowerShell profile. And a regex is something that's very practical for people who doesn't know how to use regex. Well, it's a way to have this little tool to help you. Any information, you can either email me, or so you can email the sales at Sapiens, and then you have the website and all of all our product display here. About Windows Subsystem for Linux. It's been around for a few years, and everything started with WSL1. And basically, for now, what is most important is WSL2. Why? Because now most of the Windows have the ability to upgrade to version 2004. Now, what happened is 2004 will install, but we know that there's some bugs in it. So you install the version 2004, look, there is a cumulative service update that you can install after that, okay? At the same time, the latest Windows 10 Insider Edition has all the latest and greatest of what is coming in the future for WSL2. In the following screen, you have all the two features need to be enabled: the virtual machine platform and the Windows Subsystem for Linux. Those are two options to enable WSL2. And in the beginning, when you go to the Microsoft Store and you grab a distribution, a Linux distribution, when you install the first time, it's not WSL2. It's at the WSL level. I have the link here for you to follow, so you can check what needs to be done. You know, all the instruction on Microsoft documentation is very thorough on how to get it done to, how to get it to WSL2. Okay, but keep in mind, when you finish the first setup and you download for distribution, you are on WSL1 until you do an update. There's a conversion through command line that you can do, and it will upgrade the distribution to WSL2, okay? What's the main difference? WSL1 is based on translation and utilize Windows hardware. And this is perfect. I mean, this is perfect because what happened is using the same, the translation, use the same Windows hardware, especially in the networking side, WSL1 have the same IP address as your main Windows machine. Now, WSL2 is based on virtualization. It has its own driver, its own thing. It's a kernel, it's a true kernel. So then here, the network part changes completely. To give you an idea, what happened is, an example is WSL1, you have the SQL Server container. You can connect your SSMS, your SQL Server Management Studio, directly to that container, which is in Linux, right? But now in WSL2, the network is isolated completely. I haven't searched yet for a solution for that, but that's a limitation for now that I see. Of course, this is all about the learning curve. This is new, Docker is there. How can we overcome now this new limitation? Now, the thing is, you can go back and forth between WSL1 and WSL2. So if you need to access your SQL Server, your SSMS SQL Server to access both your Windows and the SQL Server container, well, you can go back to WSL1 and you can do back and forth, you know. But that's one thing that happens. So the differences cannot connect to share folder. That's another thing. WSL1 cannot connect to share folder. This means if you have experience in Linux connecting to a Windows machine, a full Linux machine to a Windows machine, you use the mount command in order to connect to the Windows folder. You can't do that in WSL1. WSL1, you can put the Linux desktop GUI in it, but it's not supported by Microsoft, of course. That's because in WSL2, eventually will support that. So when you change to WSL2, if you already had Linux desktop GUI, it's not going to work. Okay. Then, of course, WSL1 is a little more slower processing because you have to translate all that information back and forth between, the subsystem and Windows. Now, this is an example when you do remoting between WSL1 and it's not equal WSL2, meaning because in WSL1 you have the same IP address between the machine and if you use the ifconfig in WSL, you see you have the same IP address. When you're in WSL2, it changes completely. You have the own independent driver. It's a virtual machine you're working with. Okay. Additional tips. Of course, everybody knows if you work with if your machine have Hyper-V or any virtualization, you have to enable the virtualization option in your BIOS. Because I'm using Hyper-V on my Windows 10 VMs, I need to make sure that I run the set VM process. This is vaguely documented in Windows Doc. You only can find it in the comments. I don't know why, but WSL will not work if you don't have this on. That the virtualization part of the WSL2 virtualization part will not work if you don't use this command. Okay. And then, of course, I don't know if anybody know about this, but you download your distribution, Kali, SUSE, Ubuntu. First thing you need to do after you create your ID and password, do an update and an upgrade. Okay. Use sudo app update and sudo app upgrade, because you'll be surprised how many packages need to be updated. I'll give you an example here. One that I did here, it says 15 packages, okay? So advantages, right? Faster I/O, 3 or 6 times. You'll notice that between WSL1 and WSL2, if you do the app update and app upgrade, it go faster, right? It's a 100% system call, powered by true. It is a true Linux kernel, and Microsoft is working a lot in improving those. GPU support for performing rapid mathematical calculation. This is for data science, artificial intelligence. So you can use that in WSL, that distribution, to work with you at the Linux level, right? And best of all, what? You learn about Linux in Windows 10, okay? Ever since PowerShell and SQL Server came out on that summer between, I think SQL Server came out in July and PowerShell's core started in August. And ever since then, because now the importance is knowing about cross-platform application, right? Doesn't matter anymore. You learn the language, you learn PowerShell. This differences is what it benefit you to use cross-platform, but the language is the same. So now you just learn, and without you knowing, there are, Jeffrey Snower was very, it was great. It was amazing. He included aliases for Linux in PowerShell. So if you haven't done it yet, you already know it. So it's very easy to go and understand what to do in Linux. Outside of that, you learn the learning curve to learn Linux becomes shorter, just because Linux is easy to use. Every problem, every error, if you do an update, an upgrade, if something you install an application, it gives you right there what to do, okay, at the command level. It tells you, you need this package, you need this library. You just go do the search, and most of these things are well documented on the internet. Next. All right, so what's coming for WSL? I mentioned before, GUI's application, the GUI desktop, will be available. Here I included a video on WSL2. We have a great example with a game, a ghost game, which is a container. It's a Docker container. So you go to this GitHub site and you can download and play with the sample. And this is very, very useful. You get used to, not to be afraid how to work with containers. All right, our WSL demo have a little list here to give you a cheat sheet here. What I'm going to do here. So here, what we're going to do is I'm going to minimize my application here, and for the WSL demonstration, very quick. Okay, so I have one of my Windows 10, which is still on WSL 1. You can see here the second command here that you can run, WSL space -L-V, and this gives you what version you're on. If I want to change this to a WSL2, the instructions on the Microsoft documentation will tell you run a command, and this get translated and converted. What happened here is that I was able to install Docker, but then again, because Docker required WSL2, my distribution is not WSL2 level now yet, right? So it gave me an error. So let's give you an example of what can happen, okay? So, and then I can appear here, if you do the ifconfig, then of course, the same IP address, same as my Windows, and that makes it easier for do some remoting, same IP address, right? Okay, here I have PowerShell also included. Of course, I went through the instruction on how to install it. And this is great, okay? All right, so now in WSL2, if I go ahead and let's open PowerShell, and then I'm gonna go WSL-L-V, give you an example of what it does. See, they already have this converted to version 2. And you notice these are part of the new Docker. They include 2 other VMs in order to help you work with containers. That's new. All right, so just keep it this thing short because we got a lot of other stuff here to do. So they give you a good feedback. Okay, how I know which different WSL I'm using. All right, so now Docker containers. So Docker containers, we need to build containerized application for continuous integration, continuous deployment. I don't know who of you guys have ever built a server from scratch. What meaning build a server means you order the server, bring it in, put the drives on it, put the monitor, load the software. That was a painstaking task to do. Practically, if you're lucky, you can finish the machine in a day, you're good. But then again, you're plugging into the network, authenticate to the directory services. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there to do, even if it was just for workload level, right? All right, so here goes. Ability to reuse Docker containers existing repository. Docker Hub is a good place to find existing images of containers that you can use and reuse. And not only that, you can customize, right? That's what I'm going to show you in a little bit what to do. How can you customize SQL Server container, for example? Okay. Easily integrate with Windows and WSL. Yes, just download the Docker desktop installation, and it does everything for you. Outside of that, if you, for example, if you install Docker in Linux, Docker documents have very good documentation. You can follow through. It makes it less pain, is less of a pain to do, but it's well documented if you still want to do it on a Linux only machine. This is used in on-premise virtualization, any cloud technology. Docker Desktop is the installation product. 2 versions available, stable and Edge preview. Now the new Edge preview, you can log in. They have in the command line a way to log in to your Azure subscription, and then you can connect to your Azure containers. check the blog that I put in here. This is very interesting. I'm gonna try to build something for this for the next topic section. So, and of course, check the Docker documentation, the link that I put here. As I mentioned before, 2 installations available. The stable version updates every 3 months. And then the edge is more frequent. And what happens is, of course, when everything gets approved of wanting to roll into stable, then they'll do it on a 3 months period. One thing you're going to notice is when you try to do the Docker installation is that this prompt will come up. It's going to ask you to install an update to the kernel. Okay. And then after this, then Docker will work without any issue, but this is essential. That's just going to happen. Okay. Docker samples. Well, samples going to show in here. We're not going to go through all of this in the code. I'm going to show it to you, but basically I'm giving you all of this, a step-by-step, what to pull, how to update, what can be run within the Docker Linux to update in this example, it's a SQL Server, and I'm updating it with some applications that I need in there, including PowerShell, including the SMB client. I mean, all the necessary things that I need so I can administer and work with that SQL Server. It's not necessary unless you feel like it's needed, but think about it. You create a container for your developer, and this is something that you can replicate. It's something that you can, oh, I don't need this for this this application for this developer, or I will need this, and you can create different versions. And I'm gonna do the best I can to explain to you what's going on in here. And at the end of this presentation, when I go over all technologies at play step, we're gonna see what's there on the Docker Compose, okay? So I guess I'm gonna go for the, okay, Docker demo. All right, so for the Docker demo here, I'm gonna start with my editor, and to tell you the truth here, my editor of preference, of course, is both PrimalScript and PowerShell Studio. I'm gonna open PrimalScript here because this is what I do most of my scripting only. I get used to do all the scripting only, and I've known this product since, to tell you the truth, since 1999, when it was only for VBScript. It was the editor for VBScript and all the other multi-language code. I mean, it's company's been it's over 20 years it's been around, and always used his products ever since. All right, so let me just go ahead and have another browser here. And I'm gonna open my editor. All right, so first of all here, and this is all for you to reuse, okay? First of all, you need to update your WSL with update and upgrade. And here I have all the command that you can run here. Now, WSL2, right? This is Windows, is my application, my editor, PowerScript is in Windows. Well, look at this. I got Ubuntu console. And this is due to because I can add consoles application. There's options, sorry for that. Console application in my editor. And this is the command line used to open the Ubuntu distribution on my editor. Okay, so here you always open the location where the product's at. So I'm going to change this to my WSL home user home directory. You can see I'm working Linux right now from my Windows editor. I can do LL, which is better because I'm doing okay. So you can see I can run all this in here. Now, next thing you should do after doing the update, you might want to install the SMB client and the CI. These are the tools, this is the application that help you connect to your shared folders. Without this, you can't. Okay, so I give you all the necessary steps to how to accomplish this. Okay, now I have different few sections in here, regions that I mark. One is going to be pull Docker containers, and go through this one first. And you can see I mark here, commented out. You can pull the 2017. This instruction how to pull the SQL Server images for 2017 and 2019 latest version. Okay, in this case, already did that. So let me go back down here. Let me clear, and I'm going to do okay. So I can do this. I can highlight, right click. Funny, right? It says execution in PowerShell, but I just discovered I can do this. I can run it because it runs whatever's there. So there you go. So here I have my images loaded. I have my 2 original that I downloaded from the hub and one that I created that I customized. Okay. Here are the instructions on this script that helped me build this customized version. Okay, this customized version. And then of course, I built this. I'm using Docker in PowerShell, right? I'm using Docker in WSL, straight Linux, straight Bash. I could do Docker inside my PowerShell in Linux, right? This is great. Docker images, it shows. Now I can use CLS to clear the screen. And I can do up arrow. I can do Docker PS. This is we check for processes that are active. Boom. Here it is. I have one that was turned off. See? Or it's perfect. Okay. I can start this one if I want, but then again, see, so I have to check for processes. So how do you pull the image? This is the instruction on how to start your first container to make it live. Okay. Here, because it's already exited, here the only thing I need to do is, Docker, the command line, the CLI is very simple. I can do start, and then I can use either the container ID or the name. In this case, using container ID, press enter. This indication that it started, but wait a minute, oh no, let me make sure about that. Okay, yes. And now here the status from exited, it shows it has been up in 8 seconds. Okay, very simple command line. You include this in your PowerShell script. Now let's keep moving more down here. Okay, it's at the end for the pulled image section. Let me, then let's go to the customizing part. This is the part that takes all this, whatever you do in the container to customization is fairly fast. It's less than 30 minutes. You probably have added all this thing that I'm showing you now. This is an example that you can create this line here that you can run against the container and send the result to your console without being inside the container. Okay, so if I do this, and you can see here, it showed me the version of the container that I'm on. Okay, now SQL Server 2019, it's created as a non-root, has a non-root user, meaning it has a MSQL user already built into it. But so you have to access, in order to do the update container, you have to first use the -u root, because root only have enough permission for you to do updates, right? So that's my first customization. Do the update. And here I don't need the sudo because it's not loaded. Sudo app is not loaded in there. So, but the root have enough permission to manage your container. So I do app update app y. So in other words, continue. It's going to prompt you yes to continue. So yes to continue and do the upgrade. And then I can add the sudo and do the update again, just in case I need some more updates against that application. And then I go to add the sudo is already installed. So add the user to the sudo group. I add the password to my non-root user, MSSQL. And then, of course, there's one additional step that I add is in order to use SQL command, if you ever use SQL Server, there's a SQL command, so you can, at the command line, you can enter T-SQL. But this I'm adding the path so I can run it from the prompt. And then, of course, this is the editor. This is the Vim editor. You say write and quit, save the changes. And then the source bash file, the bash RC, this update refreshes the session with the path or whatever changes have in it. So in other words, it made that path available. And of course, I exit the root user, and then I go back. Yeah, this is one of those changes that happen. I go back, and now I'm going to work at the MSQL user level in order to create a home directory for him. And then I'm going to add the download documents folders necessary to work. If I want to work with them, I'll deposit documents in there. And then, of course, I'm going to add more stuff. Vim is not there. Vim is the editor. If config is the next tool in order to display the IP address that is in the container. This is a command to give you a list of everything application in Linux that is installed, already installed. pkg -- list give you a list of all the application that is in your distribution. And then here's the good part. This is a bundle of apps that I'm installing at once: Vim, Pin, the SMB client, and then including PowerShell. And after this is installed, of course, I go sudo in PowerShell, because now I'm going to do another installation that needs to be with privileges to install. This is the Anaconda. This is the Anaconda is a data science platform that includes Python 3.7, and it does support PowerShell in it too. So in this case, I'm including Python 3.7, and then after that get installed, I also including SQL Server in Azure. And of course, this is to verify the get module list available, give you a list of all, just to verify that you have installed SQL Server, AC, and then you exit PowerShell. And then again, because this is not root, this is the MSQL server user profile, then I'm adding again, the path in order for SQL Server command to work with my user profile. Okay, we go the same steps. Every list steps are laid out in here. Okay, here I'm exiting. Let's see here, exit, source, and then of course here I can work with, do a test that is working in my container prompt. Okay, and then again the updates are a little bit looks repetitive, but sometimes it's necessary because some of the applications you install get refreshed. You don't know that until the application installed. There's something else behind it, it will be updated. Okay, and that's the end for updating the container. And now what happened to all this? If you could destroy the changes without knowing. If you stop or use the remove the container before saving those changes, it's gone, right? I mean, it's destroyed. So the next step is, what I'm going to do, I'm going to save the changes. So here I go again. I'll make sure the containers are active before committing. I have to stop the container first. Then I commit the changes. Okay. This is the way to do it. Use the commit container ID, and then you assign, this is very important, you assign the name of, that's become your new image. After you commit the changes, you give it a name for that. Okay, so this can be SQL Server Original, and the tag is very important. You can tag it, this is my first one, my second one. The tag can have caps. the image name is lowercase, but the task can contain capital letters, okay? At the end, with the commit finish, is what you see down here. It's what you see. When you do Docker images, this is the result of my commit. It create the new image, okay? Then after that, what do? Well, you want to save the image, and this is the steps of how to save the image. And of course, here, save the image, and this is from this image I'm going to be saving in a tar, in a zip format. And now you're able to move. The next step will be move that zip image somewhere else. And in this case, of course, I'm able to move it somewhere that I could use it on another machine, right? You see the tendency here. You customize the container. You do the step to commit, you do the step to save, copy that image somewhere on a folder that is shared to another machine, right? And that's what we're gonna continue for this, okay? Okay, so now I'm gonna stop here and continue with the presentation, okay? And because that's, the end result will be the new image, right? So now, technologies at play. You see, you can use Visual Studio Code. You can use our product. You use different other editors as long as you can support, and can help you build your scripts, right? Use WSL to learn building cross-platform application or automation. Yeah, that's the intention of it, right? We want to be efficient. We want to get to the skill set level, and we get well paid, right? Learn how to do remoting between WSL, Windows, and Linux system. I'm not covering this part in here. I'm trying to block something about this, which involves remoting between WSL1, WSL2, between the WSL, Windows and WSL. It's becoming a little bit of spaghetti, but eventually someone might need that, right? So look around for a blog post. I'm going to try to build within the next few weeks on that. And then, of course, use Notebook, right? Everybody's known about Notebook. Well, if you use Anaconda, download Anaconda, which is the data platform, it includes Jupyter Notebook. Then install also the .NET Interactive in that order. You install Anaconda, then .NET Interactive, and then you can document what you do. And I'm going to show you an example of that. Okay. Briefly, expanding your application. This is an example now. We have Terminal, Windows Terminal, which also are available in stable and preview. Same thing, stable every quarterly. It's been updated, preview, frequent updates. And the good thing about it is you can customize your console settings, and that's everything. Show you a little photo here of the Windows terminal, and a few things is very customized. I customize my console area. I customize my options. You see Anaconda Python, Anaconda PowerShell. You see you can customize yourself this. Of course, I have a link here for how to download the Anaconda Data Science platform. So you can pick Python 2.7, 3.7. And all this will include the Python packages, all those PIP, individual PIP modules if you're no Python, all the PIP modules that you need to install, packages need to install to do this, to do that. It gave you everything necessary to work with data science, okay? Everything for GUI, mathematical, graph, everything is there, okay? And then now Microsoft have the .NET Interactive, which I think is gonna be GA sometime in the fall. So, but it's very practical. You have for F#, C#, and PowerShell. Then what's the bottom line? Oh, do you want to create a practical application, a productive application, GUI form? Okay, and I'm going to show you an example. I have a print screen of what I did so I can work with my Docker. And this is basic. Okay, this is not diving more, making more prettier, just to give you an idea of where you can get, okay? So, then of course here I've done interactive. You have a few ways to work with it. If you don't want to install it, you can use my binder. But I really prefer you to do the download and go through the steps because it's very practical, okay? And now this is what I'm gonna go wild in here. All right, get ready for this. There we go. All right, so you go to my Windows Insider version, which one thing that I haven't shown you in here is the Windows Insider version. I'm gonna close this. If you open the File Explorer, look what we have here. We got a Penguin Linux, which means it automatically detects if you have multiple different distributions of Linux, it will be identified in here. And you can quick access to the folders. This is perfect. This is not available in the RTM version of Windows 10. Okay, this is only in Insider. When it's going to be applied to the RTM, maybe on the next major release of Windows 10, it might show up. We'll see. Okay, but this is a good example of that. All right, so here we have, let me close this up. So here we have Windows Terminal, right? And as you can see, I customized this one. It has the logo of PowerShell. But more certainly, if I do here on my list of all my consoles, you see that I have customized icon and customized console that I have in here. Let me give you an example here. So this is the way you know that Anaconda has been installed. You have that base name in here. And of course, if I do Python, we say run Python here, it shows 3.7 is Anaconda. Perfect. So you're going to have Python and I can use it inside my PowerShell. This is PowerShell. .2. It's working here. Okay. Now keep in mind, I have Docker here. I have Docker Edge installed. See that the Edge edition is installed. And here, if I do Docker images, it shows already moved my previous version that I built on from the other machine. I already move it here. This is Windows. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, keep in mind that close this one here. Command prompt from any console. From any console, you can work with Docker. So it doesn't matter. Okay, you can work with DOS, WSL, PowerShell, Windows PowerShell, PowerShell 7. You can work with Docker. It's already installed in the system, so it doesn't matter which console you're using, you can work with it. Okay, that's the good thing about it. The other thing here is I'm going to show you briefly what I did before. In the beginning, I had both images, no images. I had no processes. I did the pull. So to give you an example how it looks. I did the pull of 2017, it completed, and then here I ran and created the container. And at the end, when I do the Docker, what processes are active, it shows that I have a container here at that time that is active. It's been running for 7 hours. Okay. And then here is an example that I move. Of course, I have a network drive. I have a network drive here. See, I have my network drive. That's my network drive. It is where I move my Docker image from my physical machine. I move it to my VM through the map network drive. There's a sample that is loaded. Oh, okay, got disconnected. And then, of course, here it shows my content of where my what is in my network drive folder images. So if you have an idea, that is already moved from my physical into my network drive. But wait a minute, let's take a look at this. Let me move it down here. Okay, so all right, so now here we have WSL. Okay, this particular VM is connected to my directory services. So when it starts, it's going to start on my, of course, on my network AD profile. Okay, so I had to change it to my normal user profile in Linux. There's an example when I ran the, take a look at my map drive, and there's nothing in there, okay? Because you have to define first a folder for how you're gonna map your network drive, okay? And then of course, the next example here is I'm mounting my C drive, network drive to that folder. And after putting the password, I'm connected to it. In this example, I'm gonna run Jupyter Lab from my WSL. Oh, of course, you gotta type it right because it's not truly Jupyter, it's Jupyter with a Y. Let's try it. There you go. Now this will prepare my Jupyter, of course, and if I run this in Windows, it would automatically open my browser. But because I'm doing in WSL, it doesn't automatically connect to the browser. It won't open the browser already, but I can do copy paste for now. Copy, I open the browser. I'm gonna right click, paste. Okay, it's loading. And this is Jupyter. You can see here, I have all this notebook available in this languages: Python, Sharp, C Sharp, F Sharp, PowerShell, the console. Haven't tried these yet, but I'll stick to the notebook. Let's open this one first. This is all available for you. This is, I'm giving you this too. So here, I found a way to document for this presentation, okay? Use a notebook. Give you the links, give you information. Again, you know, doing the upgrade. In a minute, I can do this. I can click on that one. Unfortunately, this is not upgraded to 702. So if I run this, and you see, well, this is refreshing. But then again, this is something I can build. You see all the different responses down here, different responses here. And this is you can take this document, give it to somebody else. Hey, look, I ran this. This is my results. So keep just it's kind of, it's sort of like a checklist, right? So in this example, I did some changes to my PY platform Python, and because I know I can run Python code in PowerShell, right? The file I can run it with Python. I'm going to run this one now. You see the changes, and you can see that's the changes. Before it was only Linux, it was only giving the Linux version. Now it's giving me a more different version here, the Python version. See, so this is something that you can save it, give it to somebody else. Okay. At the same time, I'm included more code. Give an example. Oh, how Docker images look, how processes look. Let me move this a little bit more. There you go. Some other command you can learn in Linux, right? Look at that. AC OS give you all the information of the OS. There's another command you can use to give you more, another way to give you your distribution information. Then again, an example of the PDKG list. You know, if you want to document what you have on your Linux system, right? Well, there's a good documentation here. It's a good report of what you have loaded in your system. It's a lot of stuff, right? But you save it, you don't run it again, give it to somebody else, make a copy of it, verify it was missing. And then, of course, he'll give you some steps or instructions, right? And then again, of course, here an example of after you install the SMB client CFA utilities, then how can you connect to a system?
Hey, Max?
Yes.
So there's a question in the chat room. Someone was asking if you're running this on WSL 1 or 2. I thought you were running it in WSL 2. And then
no, this is all WSL 2.
Okay, cool.
This is all WSL 2.
Then there's a follow-on question you might want to read.
Robert, I don't.
At the end. You may have the chat up. He's asking, is it on the local host, mapped to both the WSL instance and the Windows 10 instance? I'm not quite sure. I know what the first part means. Not sure what the second part means.
Where is the, why I can't see, oh, wait a minute, never mind. I didn't get used to this one. Chat. What did, oh, participants? Where's the chat option?
So I think if you go up to the top, it might be under the ellipses. If you go up to the top, then the ellipses might bring up the chat, I believe. Maybe not.
Oh, in a minute. Okay, cool. Yes. Let me see.
Robert's last question at the bottom.
Say map on, okay, what do you mean? Localhost, map on localhost, map to WSL instance. Yeah, I am on my, okay, so you're talking about the way that I did this. There you go. This part. My Windows machines already have a map, right? I have a map drive, right? Which I show here. It's a C drive, right? So what I'm doing is I'm using this command sudo -t trvfs, which point to the network drive C, and then I'm mounting to a folder that I created on my mount folder. Yeah, this is all local. This is on my local machine connecting to a Windows share folder. This is actually a VM. I'm connecting to a physical share folder.
Cool. All clear.
Yeah. No. All this demo is on WSL2. Okay, because that's that. Yeah, WSL. Although you can draw back to WSL1, but who wants to? The only drawback is what I found out. I lost the ability to connect my SQL Server Management Studio to a container on my local machine. That's the only thing I haven't figured that one out yet. And then mention on Docker that you cannot connect, you cannot ping to a container anymore, and that because WSL 2 is a different monster. You know, it's a VM with its own network drive and with all components. Yeah, so we'll see. That's gonna keep evolving, because a lot of people may be a little disappointed on that, because I remember seeing my SQL Server Management Studio with Windows and Linux servers being displayed, and now I can't. Yeah. So, but then again, it could be a learning curve. I just this is all new now. I mean, I just went down and developed all this thing, right? So, where was I? Okay, so now that I got all this, right, this is what helped me doing that map drive is what helped me do move the image around. Okay, you can do the image within your Linux machine and in your local DOS. I mean, this is amazing technology. I mean, that's giving you all the necessary tools for you to accomplish this. Okay. Then I have this other notebook. It's a little more shorter, but let me see. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So this one will give you, you know, what the bonus section. And let me tell you, there's a lot more stuff in there. Okay. It just, I don't want it. It could be like a whole class on Docker container only, and I'm not even touching persistent data. Okay, but that's the level on the SQL Server that you want to do, how to persist data, right? But there's a lot more permission issues going on with the new SQL Server that it takes a little more. It's a little more elaborate than before. Okay, so here I give you an example of using how to map to the network drive. On the previous page, I'm showing how to map to a Windows folder. This is the sample to map to a Windows folder. This is the example to map to a drive letter, an existing drive letter on your local machine. Okay, and I'll give you all the sample here. And then we're going to talk YAML. Okay. How much time we have?
Oh, sorry. Well, we got 7:37, so if you want to go to another 10, 15 minutes, it's fine. Docker Compose.
Okay. Well, this is an example that I'm giving you on YAML, that Docker Compose. I was hoping that Docker Compose will allow you to rename, rename Docker Compose YAML to a different name, but you can't. I think the purpose is you define a folder, let's say maybe you labeled it SQL single instance, and then in there is a Docker Compose YAML. You need to use Docker Compose YAML as the file name. You can't change that, okay? And everything is because you log in, you go to that folder and you run Docker Compose from that folder. And then it kicks in, you can create your SQL Server instance at that level, okay? Now, the example here that I have here for 4 instances, doesn't show briefly in here, right? But this is the one used for 4 instances, and I'm going to show you the code because it's already included the code with the zip file. I'm going to show you the code for that one. Docker Compose. Here, basically, this is what you do. You go to the folder where Docker Compose YAML is at, and then this is how you scale. And this particular command line will create 4 instances of your SQL Server image. And if you notice here, sorry for the back and forth here. Okay, so if you notice here, the service name is what identify the instance you're working to give it the scaling. Okay. Normally, if it's only one instance, then you use only Docker Compose up-d. That means run the Docker Compose YAML and disconnect, because if you don't do the -d, it will stay there, like waiting for you to finish, to do Control-C to terminate the process. The container is running, but yeah, so the -d is important, okay? So all the information is there. Any more questions here?
Yeah, Jim asked a question about Azure Data Studio. You might have to just clarify a little bit.
Question to connect to SQL database. Maybe just a thought or question. Windows 10 to connect to SQL Server. Well, yeah, Visual. Yes. You will use Visual Studio, yes, because it allows you to run the Linux version. So yes. Well, wait a minute. I haven't tried that yet. This is all new for me now. I would say yes if you run it inside a Linux machine, yes, but I'm not sure or haven't tested if it has the same as VS Code, the remote inside, so it will run from WSL. As long as it will run under WSL, you're fine, but it has to run as a WSL, as a Linux app, not a Windows app.
Okay.
It's what I expect. So I have to do a little more investigation, but yeah, but this is all that, I mean, I built this thing from scratch completely because all the recent updates and unfortunately is what I discovered what I lost. WSL 1, if I turn on WSL 1, I could connect from SSMS and I could connect, you know, easily. But yeah, I gotta give it a shot with Azure Data Studio, see how that, because this is the thing, it's an IP address, okay? IP address won't match. So you got to run it at the same place the console is at, which is 172.2.0.1 IP address, which is unreachable from the Windows level, okay? As long as you run Azure Data Studio from within WSL, you're fine. Is what I expect. Yeah. But it will, an investigation will be done. It will do another show on this.
Exactly.
The opportunity is there.
This stuff is constantly moving forward.
Yeah, no. As a matter of fact, I had on my script, I have a way to route to 172 network. At one point I had it working, but I couldn't make it work in the last week. So I don't know. Then again, maybe because the thing have changed. Remember, I used to do it with when it was WSL 1. You know, so now it's different.
That's great. So that's great. So is that about the end of your presentation, or you want to?
Yes. I mean, that's yeah. We cover even the little bonus on the YAML side, and then of course just to make everybody aware that you got we're gonna have all the samples for this. I got the sample for the notebook, Jupyter Notebook, and I have the samples for the PowerShell script. As a matter of fact, this would be. Let me see here. Yeah. This is what all the sample contains, all this. Okay, so you can play and everything and oh, wait, oh, shoot, thank you very much. No, one last thing. Yeah, one last thing. And it is, I almost forgot about this. My sample application, right? I'm gonna run this. This is my PowerShell Studio application that I created for my Docker, kind of to keep an eye on my Docker container. And this is a very basic stuff. I mean, this could evolve in something more heavier than this. So here I can check my images, check my processes. I check my active containers. I can click here and it will give me the operating system information. I can, on the selected container, I can look at the container log. Okay, so I'll give you an example of what you can do with PowerShell Studio as a productive GUI application. I needed to show this. So yeah, but this is something that I want to show. I can stop and start container, whichever is selected, I can stop or start. Yeah, so.
Is that all PowerShell under the GUI?
Yeah, this is PowerShell Studio form. I created this in PowerShell Studio.
Right, so but when you click on things like container log, that's using PowerShell to call the Docker commands.
Yep.
Sweet.
Exactly.
So,
basically, if I go to my, let me stop this, and let's go to the script section of the form, and this is basically, it shows one example what I did.
Gotcha.
Docker PS gave me my active container, and then Docker have the ability to reformat your information you're creating an output on. And that's what I'm using to create my objects and display it on the screen. Give you an example there.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice app. I like that. Very good.
Yeah. No, and this is simple stuff, you know, this is very simple stuff. So
this is like, yeah, it's somewhat simple, but it's like, yeah, just getting started, and you can go crazy in all kinds of directions.
Yeah, exactly. You can go all kinds of direction. Okay. Yeah. So this is a multi-form example of PowerShell. You have a forms in the beginning, and then you have the child, which is the one that has what manages, you know, all the rest information you want to display. Links, text, and this can improve a lot more. So, oh yeah, that's it, man.
Thank you. This was excellent. Thank you, Max. I really appreciate you taking the time to really go through all this and experience all the new flavors of WSL and containers and images, and having to update your presentation and you really covered a lot of ground, a lot of technology today. I really like the Jupyter Notebook stuff. That's one of my favorites that's coming out of Microsoft with the .NET interactive capabilities. So thanks again. I've got a copy. I'll post this recording. Max will give me the link to all the examples that he did, and I'll put that in the comment section inside when I post the video on YouTube. Other than that, thanks everybody for joining. Hope to see you next month. PowerShell without databases. Sorry about that, Max.
No worries, man. No worries.
And we'll get back to you when the technologies rev up again in the next few months, and maybe you can take us through some of the updates at the end of the year or early 2021. It'd be great.
Oh, will do.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you, Doc. Take care, man.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.